Hello everyone, welcome back, good evening. I put in a tweet earlier today saying that I wasn't gonna stream tonight, but I realized, I forgot that I stream at 11 o'clock now, which means that I could stream tonight. What usually happens is I get busy at around 7, 8, 9 p.m. And back when I used to stream at 9 p.m., I was not able to do the streams specifically on Tuesdays, right? Because I had to attend an event. But that wasn't really the case anymore ever since I started working. And speaking of work, this is just a personal update here, by the way. Yeah, they they basically announced we don't got a lot of work until maybe next year, January is what they're expecting. Which means that I won't be working for a very long while. In the meantime, what am I doing? I did start, once again applying for other places just to see what happens. Maybe I'll try my luck at a different kind of schedule, different kind of shift. Depending on where it lands, of course, I would have to accommodate the stream schedule. Or maybe I'll keep 11 p.m. if things go smoothly, right? Which is what I expect either way. So there you go. We're jobless again. We're back to the crypto markets. So it is time to make money. Am I right? Today's not a great day though. Today everything kind of went down quite significantly. For the altcoins, I'm looking at 9% down, 5, 8, 7% down, 6% down. Not looking that good. Meanwhile, Bitcoin on itself is down 3%. We kind of erased the gains that we had after being slightly positive at 107,000. We have now dropped to 103,166. Is it over? No, definitely not. The support at 100,000, in my opinion, is stronger than ever. We have this uptrend line that is there, we have the super trend that is there, the psychological level that is over here as well, and the fact that I've mentioned this multiple times by now, but the candle wicks that we have in the 4-hour chart mean that whenever Bitcoin did push below 100,000, we did eventually drop to a low of 98,870, we would immediately push back up. Not immediately, but within that same 4-hour time frame, we would dip below it, but we would immediately, we would just go back up to 100,000. We never closed a candle below that amount, which is a good thing. It means that there is buying pressure there. People are trying their best not to allow Bitcoin to drop below 100,000. And I'm pretty sure we can all universally agree we don't want to see Bitcoin below 100,000. And I know I focus specifically on these exact numbers most of the time, but that I usually use that when it comes to the US dollars, right? Nobody cares about Canadian dollars or Australian dollars, British pounds, euros, not euro dollars, but yeah. It's always you're looking at in USDT is the more famous one. I'm using USDC because I'm a rebel, but yeah. That's why those levels do matter significantly, because everyone, no matter from what part of the world you are in, you're probably trading Bitcoin with an American dollar or stablecoin of your choice, which in my case, it's USDC. So that's why I give importance to those psychological levels, right? In stocks, it's different. It depends on where the stock is, where it belongs to, right? To the underlying stock. If it's an American company, obviously we're using American dollars, and you would look at psychological levels from that perspective. But in this case, it's crypto market. Crypto is global. Crypto is 24/7. That's what it was meant to be. And still, nonetheless, what matters in the United States is most important. So we always look at the American dollar. We're always looking at anything that gets announced by the Fed in terms of monetary policy, interest rates, things like that. Anything that impacts the US dollar, because Bitcoin is usually traded against it, right? In the form of the stablecoin in this case. So that's what gives the market fluctuations during that time. Anyway, yeah, so you get the point. What's next? Like I said, we can continue dropping. It's to be expected maybe, because we do have this downtrend line that comes from our all-time high at 126,000, a little blip at 116,000, the second high that we hit. Those two levels kind of point towards maybe the 107 being indeed an important support level, since we did top out right over there. And I'm also a little biased because that is where my entry price is. I've already shown this. It's already happened with most of the assets. My average entry price happens to be an important resistance for a lot of the coins, which is annoying, but it is what it is. It's there. That being said, I probably should take advantage of this opportunity. Not specifically right now, but if Bitcoin does approach 100,000, I will take money from where I do not have it, and I will put it into Bitcoin. Instead of any other altcoin at the moment. These were slightly in the green. You would have seen yesterday, because yesterday was a great day. But today everything's back down into the red, which is not a problem. I'm far from being liquidated. I'm not concerned about this at all. And I still think the bull run is still in effect. And I've mentioned always, constantly, as long as we remain basically following this uptrend line. It's a longer term one. And that being staying above 96, 97,000, we should be good. If we drop below that, I'll give you permission to panic, because I myself will be panicking. Not really, but, you know, it's not going to be good. That's not a good sign, of course. People will indeed start to question if the bull run is still intact. But the reality is, we have so many good fundamentals, it is crazy. There's not one bad fundamental. Maybe there's one, but 99% of things are so positive right now that it just doesn't even make sense for things to be down here. Retail interest is still not in here. Like the confidence, I guess. We still need confirmation of that third rate cut. Yeah, it's, in my opinion, it is confirmed because of the odds, whatever it was, 63 to 35% chance. Those numbers don't add up, but you know, let me get the numbers exactly here. The chances for a rate cut, they're on the rise. Like, why are we not going up with this? Yesterday it was 63, right? Yeah, one day ago it was 62, 63%, and then 37% chance of not getting a rate cut, right? We do want the rates to get cut because it weakens the US dollar, turns on the money printer, and more money gets injected into, potentially, the crypto markets. So obviously, we'll go into other stuff first, the more important stuff, and then if there's any leftovers, we will get fed. We will have food on the table. So as long as this percentage rises, that should be a good thing. But clearly the market doesn't really care. I think we are expecting, still waiting, right, as to what will happen next with this government shutdown. I know I hate talking about it, but it's still in the background of everything that is going on. The vote will happen tomorrow, 4 p.m. EST. I'll cover that when we get to our new section. This is making me blind, so let me switch off this screen. It's so bright. There's no dark theme. I hate that, but whatever. Yeah, so we're going to have to wait and see if the House does pass the votes to end to the shutdown, and then, of course, Donald will immediately sign it into effect, and there you go. Government shutdown would have been history. It would have been the longest in history, but would have been history nonetheless. And yeah, the government shutdown was really a nothing burger. The whole thing. It made no sense why they did do the shutdown. The excuses, in my opinion, are not that valid. It just didn't really make much sense to me. So I'm glad it's over, because we need the SEC, the CFTC, all that stuff to get the ball rolling in terms of crypto regulation, give us the clarity whether or not we will get our ETFs coming soon, which that should happen, of course, once the government reopens officially. So all of that is to be expected. My OBS is turning red in terms of signal. Am I still okay? Okay, it's yellow now. My bandwidth, I guess, is suffering from my internet. Okay, we're in the green now. We're good. So let us continue. That's what I have for now. On average, we should hover around maybe 104, 105,000 on Bitcoin until we get to that point. That's the level I would see Bitcoin's price attracted to coming soon, right around this area. And if we do have a dip, of course, I will be buying heavily over here. And the rise that we can expect would be to 107. 107 is going to be important. It will help determine whether or not we do indeed break out of this longer term downtrend, which I think with a high degree of confidence that we will, since we do have the super trend in our favor right over here, meaning that from this point on, in theory, we should be making higher highs, higher lows, and, you know, should benefit us all the way. I think that is the market structure that we will be following because, like I've said, these downtrend lines, uptrend lines, sorry, are the ones that have been in effect since August 5 of last year, April 7 lows, all those points connected towards these lows. Areas that we are right now is pretty fearful in the market. I feel like we have a good chance of a bounce. 26 is where the crypto fear and greed index is. And I mean, you usually know what happens when we become into extreme fear. You should not be selling at that point. You should be buying, not financial advice. But yeah. Is this an historically accurate chart? Yes, it is. When was this? March, April 2025. Yeah, this was Liberation Day. We were in extreme fear. September, August. We're not even that fearful in August. That is crazy. But we're at 26 right now. So these are probably levels as bad as we've seen. Maybe not as bad, but close enough to March or April, which, if you recall, during those dates, we were fearing tariffs being put into effect, which now we don't got to worry too much about tariffs. The whole thing with China, the whole reason for October 10 crash, reason I say with air quotes, was because of the potential chance we would put 100% tariffs on China, which ended up not happening. And why are we not rallying? Like I said, we have so much good fundamentals and we're just not rising. Doesn't make too much sense, does it? It will once the market pays us for being right, or pays me. I don't know about you, but don't follow what I do. Or maybe do. I don't care. It's your money. Your risk, our profit. How about that? Okay, guys, so let's move on. Ethereum, 3,440 right now. Yeah, this was to be expected as well. I was hoping we would, flip this super trend green at 3,675 is where that resistance is. Unfortunately, we did not really break it yet, so this only means we will have to readjust the downtrend simply like that, meaning that we are still in a downtrend. Supports for Ethereum, it's going to be hard to find out for sure. I don't think 3,100. I feel like that's a little too low. Nonetheless, it would still be an ideal area to buy. My last entry was 3,351, so buying at 3,100. If I have some leftovers, I probably will allocate it to Ethereum just to lower this average price because, like I said, once again, my average prices are basically where the resistances are, which I don't like to see. It's annoying. But yeah, DCAing, martingale, lower the average price. That's the best way to do it. That way you can profit faster and easier, right? Because you're allocating more volume. It lowers the average price, even if it's not by much, meaning that a recovery in the market could turn your position green sooner. And like I said, because of the volume that you have in there, it'll rise higher. So we have to wait and see. Solana, its super trend is also peaking downwards, so this downtrend is still in effect. Current price is 154. Solana dropped pretty hard. I have this trigger order prepared at 144. We're not necessarily oversold just yet. We would definitely be oversold at this level, but I don't think we're going to drop that low specifically. Like when it comes to the price hovering in some area, for example, now for the past couple hours, we've been hovering at 155 approximately. If this order is to be filled, I would expect like a wick like that on a candlestick to kind of make the first move, and then we can hover at some comfortable level, maybe using 150 as a resistance. This is me just talking out of my head, by the way. I don't know for sure if this will happen, but that's what I would expect, right? Before we start seeing some sort of recovery, maybe we would use this as a resistance over here just to determine whether or not we break out of this downtrend. Could be as well that the super trend does also meet the 166 resistance. Could be. We'll have to wait and see. That's my little view on Solana. So 145 guaranteed support. Not guaranteed. We'll see. That's where I have my entry on it. So putting my money where my mouth is. Hyperliquid, I exited the position with a stop loss in positive territory, meaning that I don't have to see this position turn red, which is a good thing. The only bad thing is this prediction, it ended up not working out. Super trend ended up dropping much lower. We're technically in a downtrend, so yeah, we didn't do the thing where we rose over here to become overbought. That didn't happen, so this is currently out of the question. This little uptrend that I was hoping we would get going on ended up not happening at all. We were probably going to have to look for a new low point. And for the time being, I'm looking at 37 as a potential entry on Hyperliquid. I would expect us to be oversold at that area. And why specifically 37.065? I'm using support level from pivots, which is at 37.031. And also a Fibonacci retracement, which also coincides perfectly, not perfectly, but very, very close to that level, 37.10. So averaging those two out give me 37.065. Seems like we are currently slowed down at this level of Fibonacci retracement, although it's very tiny, so you shouldn't really trust these levels too much. But it seems like it is bouncing over here quite appropriately, so 38.42. Our lowest point was 38.40. If I did have an entry there, would have been in a very small profit, but that's against my strategy at the current moment. I like to buy when things are oversold. That way it's a higher chance of us confirming a bounce, because this looks like a very tiny bounce. I mean, if I was trading in like a smaller time frame, 15 minutes, 1 hour, maybe, because I'd just be in and out within the few couple hours that it lasted in here. The last, what's 4 times 3, 12 hours. So yeah, I would have been out of that by then, but I like looking at longer term because I feel like movements are easier to predict in that sense. When they're in the smaller time frames and you're leverage trading with crypto, that's just way too much volatility, and I usually get stopped out most of the time because of the amount of volatility that there is. Sure, you could get lucky in the chance and hit a good, if you're using like a 3-to-1 risk reward ratio. Yeah, it could work out in your favor, but I've tried it. It's really not my cup of tea. I've came to realize. I thought I would have really liked it, but no. I find it's just easier. Don't have to stare at the charts too much. Don't have to coin toss too much, and worry about losing streaks or things like that, or maybe I don't know, things malfunctioning. I've automated my strategy in the past. I was able to successfully automate it, but it was giving me really bad returns. So I decided, you know what? Let me take control of the wheel over here. Let me show you who's wearing the pants in this household. So yeah, I decided to take over, and I managed to do a little better. That's until October 10. So still in recovery mode, but we're working our way through it. That being said, I closed out with a very, very tiny profit of, get ready, plug your ears. How much? $4, $5. I could probably buy, I don't know what I could buy with it. A small basket of raspberries. Yeah, so that's pretty good. Oh, this is $5 American, so it's going to be like $7 or $8 Canadian. Yeah, I could maybe buy two then. Two baskets of raspberries, blackberries. They're pretty expensive. I don't understand why, and they're very tiny. I'm rambling. Okay, moving on. That's where I expect Hyperliquid to drop to 37. Good oversold. Possible opportunity for a bounce. Super trend is still on its way down overall. So downtrend is going to look like this. Do we have more data? No, not really. Yeah, I'm going to ignore that part. So, okay. That's what we have for Hyperliquid. BitTensor, it's also on its way down pretty significantly today. 8%. I don't like to see that. Not necessarily oversold at any area. I kind of FOMO'd into this entry, which looking in retrospect, I probably shouldn't have. But it's not a big entry in here either, so I'm pretty good with the risk management there. That being said, I'm going to have to start looking for another potential entry, which it's looking like 319 could be a good one. From where can I draw a Fibonacci if I was to draw one? I'm going to ignore October 10 and draw it from this low point and see what it looks like. Just want to see. Put it to the highs. So 331 to 320, maybe 325. I don't know if that's too low. I don't know which level to trust. I'll just keep my eyes peeled for BitTensor. But 319 I think would be a decent entry. Yeah, I could drop a bit more on it. A local low we have, a quick support is at 350, of course, psychologically speaking. It did also bounce right there pretty well. But the super trend is still pointing toward the downside and dropping, so we must wait and see where that slows down. Once again, my entry is a resistance, which is so annoying, but whatever. SUI down 7%, $2.02. Okay, I really want to get in more SUI. The question is where? Maybe 185. Is that too low? We dropped to a low of 181 on our worst day, November 4. Why should we drop even lower? I don't understand. Today just seems to be a general correction day. It's like no real fundamentals are driving the reason why we're crashing. I don't see any bad news or anything like that. So I feel like this would be short-lived and we would eventually recover sooner. Yeah, gonna have to wait and see. I might put more funds in here. It's gonna take us some... Okay, I'm gonna have to go through in between my accounts to get some more funds, but I plan on dropping 5,000 on Bitcoin maybe, then maybe 1,000 on SUI, 1,000 on BitTensor, 1,000 on Solana. Oh, Solana's already there, so I don't gotta worry about it. So that's 2,000 from SUI and Hyperliquid. Wait, did I say Hyperliquid? I forgot Hyperliquid. So that's 3,000 then. Hype, BitTensor, SUI. And I have yet to look at Chainlink and Aptos. Aptos, I do have to open a new position, but I don't know specifically where yet. We're going to analyze that next. I don't think this is going to look any good. Yeah, no, it's not looking good. Hold on, let me delete this then. Yeah, probably 185. I might put my entry on SUI. It would make the most sense. We would be oversold maybe at that area, so we'll see. Chainlink is also down, no surprise, down almost 7% today. 15.33 is the current price. I forgot to mention SUI's price, I think. $2.02, by the way, down 7%. Once again, my entry is a resistance, which, annoying. If we drop to 13, I guess would be a good entry for Chainlink. I have not bought that low. I've bought 15 was my lowest purchase, so I'd be down to enter another position at 13. It would be annoying though, because that's already $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 I'm gonna have to come up with. Might have to just sacrifice my entry on Bitcoin and not do it and buy into these useless altcoins. They're not useless, they all have their use. Chainlink has the most use, if anything. But I'm just making fun of it, I'm poking fun. Okay. Might do that. 1384. This is just me planning ahead, kind of. Aptos, we still have our uptrend on here, so that's good. 276 is where it invalidates. I don't like what I'm seeing. I don't know where exactly this could drop to. Of course, we have a local low at $3 itself psychologically. Pivot level is there. But then the uptrend invalidates really soon at 276. And then the support level is at 261. And then our actual low point is 238. So which one is it? Might just divide up my entries in a couple different ways. Obviously not going to buy above $3. Anything below that is where I would enter. So my first entry would probably be 276. My last purchase was at 279 after trying to lower my price from 319. So yeah, 276 seems like a decent entry. If it does flip the super trend lower, I don't know, I feel like we would be dropping even harder. Meaning that 261 is going to be the next support, but I don't know if we can really hold to that. And then, of course, the actual bottom of 238, that's a guaranteed entry. All these levels coincide perfectly, so... Alright, 276, I'm going to do a partial entries on Aptos. 276, 260, and then maybe 238, 240 I'll probably round it up to. Something like that is what I would have a vision for in Aptos. But I'm going to have to divide these into very, very small entries. Like only 500, 500, 1,000, something like that. If none of them get filled, I will look like a fool, but it is what it is. What else do I have? Cardano, Stellar, Compound. Very bad entries. on all of them. Although I'm not losing too much on all of them either. Once again, my entry is a resistance. Compound's 33. What is it even doing anymore? Cardano is 55. If we do approach 50, I think I will drop more into Cardano because it's just scientifically, historically proven 50 cents is a really good bounce zone for Cardano. I don't know if I will really wait that long though. If we do become oversold for whatever reason. That's the other thing. What is the reason? Why would we become oversold on a lot of these? Tomorrow is what we're all expecting, of course. If the government shutdown maybe doesn't end, if it fails the House vote, then we could see the drop. I would understand, and I will take advantage of that drop. Because, I mean, it's the House. It's the second last step. I mean, Trump is the guaranteed last step. He obviously will sign the bill into effect to end the government shutdown. And what? Do we just continue voting in the House until we get it passed? Like, surely that's the way to do it, right? So, yeah. We'll have to wait and see. For now, no money for these guys until I see good performance. Even if they do perform well, I'll just sell them. So, what's the point? Stellar, I could see myself maybe buying around 25. High 25. Or maybe mid 25. I don't know. Averaging out the lowest point, support level, and super trend, right? We could see ourselves oversold around this area if I really want to buy into Stellar. We've seen Stellar at 50 cents before, so at a really good time, of course, that being. Still, we'll see. I wanted to have a look at Aptos. I don't know why specifically I'm picking on Aptos here, but yeah, inflation is kind of there. Can't hold on to Aptos for too long. And I'm sure Sui is going to look the same. It's... You see this valley over here in 2024? Prices were pretty high, market cap was low. This time around, market cap is high, prices... I don't know, it seems like they didn't really rise as much as they should have, right? Am I just reading this wrong? It doesn't seem too inflationary, Sui's tokenomics. So I'm fine with it. I also wanted to look at Stellar. Because of the total supply, the max supply that they do have, I wouldn't expect this to be that inflationary. Yeah, there's some inflation going on, but it's not too heavy. The spikes are making sense here. Stellar and XRP, really, really bad. That's just my personal opinion. But, I mean, if I had to choose between the two, because, I mean, they are genuinely pretty good, I would have to pick Stellar over XRP. XRP is too big, too centralized, and you could argue maybe Stellar is also centralized, but it's for the people. Ripple's for the big banks, and are you a big bank? No, didn't think so. Moving on. Let's go ahead and get into our news. So, we don't have too much to talk about today, but still some content nonetheless. The House will vote tomorrow to finally end the US government shutdown after 42 days. The vote will happen at Wednesday, 4 o'clock p.m. EST. I'm unemployed now, so I will indeed be glued to the screen at that time. Once the government opens, we will have clear data, which will remove the bearish uncertainty from the market, which is true. That is part of the reason why we have not been on the rise, is because of the shutdown. No economic data. We don't know whether or not we're getting rate cuts. We don't know if the country is dying to inflation. We don't know if the job market is really as bad as we are expecting. All of that information will be cleared up once we have this government shutdown ended. So Wednesday, 4 p.m. EST, they will hopefully pass the vote. And then the next step is Donald Trump signs it, and that's all. No more government shutdown. And of course, I'm sure Trump will move very fast to get it signed. So yeah, you also heard it here first, by the way. Speaker Johnson was the one who said, yeah, by Wednesday we should have the House vote on it and the shutdown. So there we go. We were correct on that. The House may also hold a hearing on congressional stock trading next week, as per Politico. We'll see if they cite any of the data on politicians trading from Quiver Quantitative. That would be cool if they just say, there's this Twitter account on called Quiver Quantitative who has been stalking Nancy Pelosi's trades. I don't know. It's not an actual, like, yeah, they're a Twitter account, but they also have like their whole website and subscription service, Quiver Quantitative, where you could track politicians' portfolios. That's what they're known for. They just also have a Twitter account where they post stuff for free. So yeah, the source is this. House admin is looking to hold a hearing next week on congressional stock trading and potentially paving the way for action on a bipartisan bill to ban lawmakers from trading stocks. I don't know. I've always been mixed on this one. I don't know if I should agree or disagree with it. Of course, insider trading, no good. But I like to hear, you know, this politician bought into this stock or they sold this stock. They must know something, and they end up actually knowing something because, who knows, a couple of weeks later the stock explodes because of some crazy deal with the government. Yeah, come on. They clearly knew something. And it's happened multiple times. So it gives us all retail traders a decent chance as to maybe finding some good gems or maybe stuff that we have not seen before kind of deal. So that's why I'm optimistic about it. But once again, it's these people who have this insider information acting upon it, whether that's directly or indirectly, and they don't get punished for it. And they also have, like, what is it, 14 days to disclose the trades, and some of them, they violate the Stock Act and they just don't even disclose the trades at all until after they've already profited. So, you know, stuff like that, I feel like it should be punished, or that disclosure window should be much shorter, like immediately after. I don't know. We should all have like a public view of every stock trades from any politicians is what I would love to see. Hey, maybe that would be possible if it was all on blockchain, am I right? Where we could all see their transactions. Put everything on blockchain, honestly. The government spending, that way we know what they were doing. That was a great proposal by Doge, by the way. Very, very earlier this year when Elon Musk was working with the government. They were saying, yeah, we're probably gonna put it all on the blockchain, the whole government spending, so that we know where the money is actually going to, and with proof, transparency for citizens to all look at and see where your tax money is going to. So yeah, nothing will come of that, at least not for now. It was just a good proposed idea back in the day. So moving on. President Trump announces he's going to lower tariffs and bring in more coffee so the price comes down. We're really concerned about coffee prices. I don't drink coffee. I don't care. So there you go. This is my opinion on it. But anyways, for all you coffee drinkers, he says the only higher costs are beef and coffee. Coffee, we're going to lower some tariffs. We're going to have some coffee come in. We're going to take all this stuff very quickly, very easily. Surgical, beautiful to watch. Okay, what are you even talking about here? Their line is affordability, but it's much less expensive under Trump, and I haven't been here long. Look at energy, gasoline, it will be $2. The economy is my thing, is what Trump says. That is a big issue here, this affordability thing. The fact that it seems like a lot of people are noticing that the Republicans are neglecting affordability to the American people. Trump claims that he is doing a good job with affordability, but in other specific cities or states, there, you know, recent Democratic wins and a lot of very, very recent votes that happened in the last week or two happen to be Democrats. They won because they ran on affordability, or, you know, offering free stuff, I guess, to the economy, to the people. So that way, you know, they won a majority of the people's votes, the Democrats, which has some people concerned. But yeah, it is, I don't care. I'm not there, so it's not my problem. It's only my problem if it impacts crypto. And a lot of stuff that happens in the US does impact crypto. So anyway, Supreme Court being one of them when it comes to tariffs. Trump posted this on Truth Social saying that The U.S. Supreme Court was okay. First of all, I think I should read this. All money left over from the $2,000 payments. No, I think I should read this. Or I think I should read the. Okay, we'll start from here. We were getting stimulus checks, right? This was already covered in the past by me, because of the so much tariff revenue that we've been getting. Where Trump is able to afford $2,000 to every person that is not a high income earner, every citizen in the United States, meaning that $2,000 will go to your pocket if you just simply pay your taxes, which is cool, good. And that is all because of the power of tariffs. Tariffs are good for the country, so don't ban tariffs. Supreme Court seems to be the message from Donald Trump, right? Scott Bessent kind of made things, he muddied the waters when it comes to how are we going to receive the $2,000 dividend stimulus check. He says it might just be, it's not going to necessarily be a check, but we don't know how it's going to happen, but we might just reduce your tax bills or anything like that. So it might not be like you're going to open your mailbox one day and have an extra $2,000 is what Scott Bessent has been saying. So he's like, hey, just, watch out with what this Trump guy has been saying. Because it seems like people are wondering, where is Trump going to pull out this money from? If you do the math with the tariffs, some people have done different kinds of calculations. I've shown you an example of the calculation. It does look like we do have enough to afford that $2,000 stimulus check to all those 150 million Americans, I think, that will be eligible for the pay. And the rest of it, Trump says that he's going to use it to pay down the U.S. debt, which is, by the way, $37 trillion. And the leftover amount is only like a couple $100 billion. Only a couple $100 billion, am I right? That is nothing compared to paying down the U.S. national debt. So this is kind of what erased the hype between the $2,000 stimulus, because the way people would normally see it is that, hey, everybody's going to have an extra $2,000 to drop into the markets, which would be good, right? Retail would immediately come in, FOMO into the markets and pump our bags. But Scott Bessent says, no, it might not be that way. So the optimism kind of faded away. But, there's no confirmation as to how we're going to get it. Maybe we do get the check. Or maybe, and I saw some people suggesting this, it's pretty cool to think about. And it's part of the reason why World Liberty Financial was rising that day, and I wasn't sure why. And when I took profit on my World Liberty Financial position a couple of days ago, it's probably because maybe Trump says, I will give you guys the $2,000 in stablecoins. And my stablecoin that I created in World Liberty Financial, the USD1 stablecoin that runs on Solana, by the way. So that would incentivize people to, download their favorite crypto trading apps, receive the airdrop is what it would be, right? All Trump would have to do is mint that money. I think he can do that. Can he do that? I don't know. Remember what happened with PayPal USD, Pi USD, where $300 trillion was just minted in 20 minutes? No, I think he's going to do it the right way, of course, by genuinely buying the stable coin with real money, right? And then airdropping it to eligible Americans, right? And if you're going to be receiving a stable coin, the World Liberty Financial's stable coin, that's why World Liberty Financial had its rise, right? Because of that potential speculation. And I wasn't sure what was happening at that time. We had this rise over here. I've been buying over here, sold to the top. Perfect. No, not perfectly. I think I sold a little earlier, maybe at 14 around over here. I just wanted to get out of World Liberty Financial. So now I did. We have now consolidated and we're at 15 cents after rising to a high of 16.89, topping at this resistance approximately at 17. Super trend is in the green for it. That's good. But yeah, so that explains the rise, basically. Just wanted to touch on that too. The potential of maybe you'll receive this stimulus in stablecoins, and then you can buy crypto with it, which would be cool, but now we're not too sure what's going to happen. This guy's been spreading a lot of FUD, man. What is wrong, finance lot? Trump never intended to give Americans anything. Annual tariff revenue is $350 billion, and the total cost of the $2,000 checks is $700 billion. Once again, the math ain't really mathing. So I showed you guys the previous math. It looks like the total cost of the $2,000 checks is $400 billion, according to the Kobasi letter. That math that I showed you. The Supreme Court tariff decision is 2 to 4 weeks away. Once deemed unlawful, because that is the most likely scenario, according to Polymarket at least, or the prediction markets, is that tariffs are likely to be illegal, and we were going to have to pay back all the tariffs that we have ever collected, which would be disastrous. So if they are deemed unlawful, they must be paid back to importers, all that tariff money. And then this $2,000 payment that we're all expecting is probably not going to happen. Wealth transfer from the poor to the wealthy. I don't know about that. But this is what Trump is kind of putting out to kind of, nudge the Supreme Court like, look, I'm giving people $2,000 and I'm making them very happy. You better not ruin it for all these people. So that way, if they are deemed unlawful, Trump will have a finger to point and blame the Supreme Court, and maybe even the Democrats or something. They'll get involved in it and catch fire and say, look, it's their fault. You guys are not getting your $2,000 stimulus check, and that the economy will now be in shambles because we have to refund however much $1 trillion we have collected from tariff revenue, and forget about paying the U.S. national debt, which, by the way, has been increasing. And that is why, there was this big fallout with Elon Musk because of the one big beautiful bill. All the stuff proposed in it, it was going to end up increasing the national debt of the United States. And it has been ever since. And Elon Musk was like, well, this is just completely counterintuitive. It goes against what Doge stands for. And I'm just really wasting my time here, right? You're not helping with this whole national debt thing. But I'm sure Trump has his plans. And I mean, with the tariff revenue, yeah, it's a good amount of money, a good chunk that will be paid off. But I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's going to be just a small dent on the surface. It's not going to be that substantial. I say substantial when it comes to like the amount of money. Yeah, it is a couple $100 billion that will be paid off, which is good. But compared to the scope of things where it's 37 trillion, that couple $100 billion, it's not going to do too much. But it's still a good amount, like I said. Moving on. Stephen Miller reveals that President Trump is serious, and he's going to push hard on paying the $2,000 dividend checks to American taxpayers. Kudlow, I'm assuming is this host over here, $2,000 tariff dividends. Is that something the president is going to push hard? Stephen Miller, this is our man, by the way, the guy that is in favor of a 50 basis point rate cut for this upcoming FOMC meeting in December. He says it is something he is going to push hard as part of his economic plan. With the record revenue that's coming in through tariffs, it's all part of the America First economic plan. So yeah, once again, just reinforcing the idea of tariffs good, so U.S. Supreme Court better not ban it. The Treasury and IRS greenlight crypto ETFs to stake digital assets. Scott Bessent, who is the Treasury Secretary, he confirms new guidance allows crypto ETFs to stake assets and share rewards with investors. This would be good and easy to start implementing on the existing ETFs that we already have. That being Ethereum and Solana, the biggest ones who are most familiar with staking. This safe harbor clears regulatory uncertainty, letting exchange-traded products distribute staking yield without jeopardizing tax status, a major boost for institutional adoption of crypto. Does that mean you don't get taxed on the staking rewards? That would be pretty good. This is bullish for Bitcoin because it increases liquidity, mainstream adoption, and investor safe access to staking rewards, driving demand across the markets. Passive income on chain. Yeah. He also posted this. Today, the U.S. Treasury Department, why do I not follow it? And the IRS issued new guidance which gives crypto exchanges crypto, exchange-traded products, a clear path to stake digital assets, and share staking rewards with their retail investors. Yeah, basically the same thing is confirming over here. The move increases investor benefits, boosts innovation, keeps America the global leader in digital asset and blockchain technology. That is good. The Senate, they have also drafted a bill to finally give the CFTC, for commodities, clear authority over crypto and keep the SEC out of crypto for securities, because crypto should not be considered securities, should be considered commodities. We already kind of know that meme coins are basically commodities. XRP already won the SEC case against Gary Gensler, right? Where they are no longer considered a security, they are now considered a commodity. Same thing with Ethereum that happened a while ago. So this kind of regulation would help the heavier regulation get out of the way, right? Trump's new CFTC chair pick, Michael Selig, will be facing Senate hearing on November 19. I don't know specifically about what. He's currently serving as chief counsel for the crypto task force at the SEC. So he used to work at the SEC, now will be going to the CFTC. What does his nomination mean for crypto regulation? Well, you tell me. That's why I'm... whatever. It should be good overall. I heard that Michael Selig is very pro-crypto. So, good. We also have our crypto czar, David Sachs, saying that the US is a major step closer to becoming the global crypto capital. We're seeing a lot of promises from the US government over here on all this. The IRS treats crypto as property. It's not taxable right away, is what they say. If you exceed $19,000 per person in 2025, file Form 709. Documentation matters. I don't know what this means, but if you're a taxpayer in the US, congrats, you probably understand it. China accuses the US of stealing $13 billion worth of Bitcoin. Whoa. So China's cybersecurity agency, CBERC, says the US seized 127,000 Bitcoins, which is worth $13 billion, that were stolen in a 2020 hack of the Lubian mining pool. The coins were linked to Chen Zi, now under US indictment for crypto fraud, and sat untouched for years before moving to wallets traced to the US. Interesting. So the US could potentially have another 127,000 Bitcoin, or maybe part of the 200,000 that they already have is that, although I don't think. How much was Silk Road seized Bitcoin? Oh no, it is real. Okay. So 127,000 Bitcoins represents almost 40% of the US government's Bitcoin holdings. I don't think that's real. They have 200,000. 127,000 out of 200,000 is not 39%, I'm afraid. That's 64%. Or it should be. Unless this gets added to the 200,000 that we have. 127. Whoops. So it's obviously 327,000. 127,000. I don't know if to put the zeros, whatever. Divided by 327. Okay, so this is on top of the 200,000 that the US already owns. That does make more sense. That is 39% of the US government's Bitcoin holdings. Hey, that's just an extra amount of money that's going into the US reserves. We do have a Bitcoin strategic reserve, by the way. All eyes on Bitcoin. The race for which country holds the most Bitcoin is heating up now. So, like, does it show that money added on here? Okay, so this is the total money they have. I'm just going to pretend that all of this is not that much value. They have $34 billion in Bitcoin. 34 billion is that divided by the price of Bitcoin right now, which is 103,000. 103. Yeah, that would mean that they own the 320, roughly 327, 329,000 Bitcoins. So it's real. They actually added all this Bitcoin to their strategic, I don't know if they added to the strategic reserve, but it's added to the total amount of Bitcoin that they do have. I'm so dumb. It shows the net number of Bitcoin right over here. I did the math for no reason. But okay, there you go. New number, guys. The United States government now holds 300,000 Bitcoins, 326,000 to be exact. Interesting, interesting. Okay, cool. And we stole it from China. So, haha, I deleted this post by accident. I think this is talking about the exact same thing. I just wanted to check if there was any new information on here. Happened in 2020. The hack, we know, said it was a state-level hacking organization that was behind the theft and claims that the US seizure was part of the same operation. Set dormant for years before moving to the US-linked wallets. Money taken from Chen Zi, who is now indicted for crypto fraud. Washington is disputing this. They say it was a lawful action against criminal proceeds, but Beijing sees it as provocation, escalating tensions. This might be like the Archduke Franz Ferdinand assassination that started World War I type thing, where it's like China says, "Hey, you stole our bitcoins. That 127,000 bitcoins belongs to us. Why do you guys have it?" And then United States is going to be like, "Nuh-uh, by the way, we have more bitcoins than you. What are you going to do about it?" And then China regulates Bitcoin. They unban it and they start mass buying it, selling all their gold reserves. Imagine China government starting to buy Bitcoin like crazy. We don't know how much Bitcoin China does really have, but it's estimated that it's 195,000 Bitcoin, which means that the US has a third more of that amount. I think, if my math is right. They have 326,000. China has almost 200,000. So you do the math, okay? There you go. Interesting. We also have news that miners, Bitcoin miners, they're selling less, which means that the supply pressure is easing. And of course, that should cause a supply shock, of course. Bitcoin miner outflows have been declining since late October spikes. That means that fewer coins are being sent to exchanges and less forced sell pressure is hitting the markets. Because we obviously see that reflected on the price, right? No, not really, and that doesn't make sense. Historically, when miners slow down their selling, price tends to stabilize, and it often lines up with the early part of recovery phases. Bitcoin's still around 105,000. It's at 103 as we speak. But the supply coming from miners is now much lower than what it was during the spring and summer profit-taking wave. If the trend continues, it strengthens the foundation for the next move, rather than forcing the market lower. That is why I remain bullish. You guys remember back when gold was at all-time highs on October 15? Today, all those lines are empty, wherein this was actually top signal peak, right? I called this out. I'm like, seeing this lineup of retail not even investors, just random people buying gold because it's at all-time highs. They think something bad is going to happen. Yeah, that's just a top signal. That's just how market psychology works. This was in Australia, by the way. People lining up for hours to buy physical gold. And after an 11% correction where we are right now, nobody's in line. So there you go. The irony. That's just how people work. So same deal, right? When it's Bitcoin's turn and it's at all-time highs, everybody's going to be rushing to buy Bitcoin. But we are already ahead of the game. Not we, me, I am. I don't know what you're doing and I don't suggest you do anything about it. Because I don't give financial advice. But anyway. Okay, JP Morgan is bullish on crypto stocks. The analysts currently rate crypto-related stocks like Coinbase, Marathon, and Riot stock as overweight, which means that they believe that these stocks will outperform. The bankers are basically, confirming they want to hold crypto stocks long-term. No, they want you to long crypto stocks. Okay, there we go. I read that wrong. But yeah. Since September 26, and Coinbase was upgraded from neutral to overweight on October 24, this means that they're more confident that Coinbase will outperform now than before. That's good. And I'm also in, not all of these, but I'm in Coinbase, I'm in MicroStrategy, I'm in crypto ETFs as well, and Canadian dollars. On my tax-free savings account, I've been loading up as prices have been dipping, so I'm well prepared for it. XRP ETF news. It's cleared for NASDAQ listing this week, potentially. Canary Capital's XRP ETF has been officially approved for the listing on the NASDAQ, which would become the first ever XRP ETF. That is a lie. Rex Osprey was the first, but nobody cares. So it's coming out under the ticker XRPC, the Canary Capital's XRP ETF. It was automatically approved after the issue filed a Form 8A with the SEC. The ETF will trade under that ticker, XRPC. Market has responded positively, which boosted XRP's price, but also helped by the possible end of the US government shutdown. You'll notice that XRP's price did spike up a little bit a couple of days ago, I think, or was yesterday. It came up a little bit to 258 was our high. And yeah, I did kind of cover it yesterday a little. I think it was yesterday. The fact that, yeah, we were expecting some XRP ETFs to, you know, happen eventually. And it seems like it will now, confirmed. There are more XRP ETFs incoming. The DTCC pages listing XRP ETFs are not approvals. That's the one I shared yesterday. The entry means that the clearing and settlement plumbing is getting ready in case a fund launches. Not that the SEC has really authorized anything, but the chance that it will are pretty high, especially after Canary Capital will be the first to lead the way. We know that Grayscale filed an XRP trust in August with amendments in October and November that reference NYSE ARCA listing mechanics and AP. I don't know what all that means. Franklin XRP ETF includes a November 4 council exhibit tied to its registration number. Whatever. CoinShares Teucrium. Okay. 2x daily XRP product. Oh boy. Leveraged XRP ETFs. Short XRP ETFs are also happening. Interesting. The real tells are an effective S1 and a listing circular that names the ticker and the date. Until those two papers appear on the site, you have no XRP ETF. Is that so? Where's the Canary Capital? I want to see. Here. Okay, cool. It doesn't show anything. So, yeah. Whatever. We're expecting more XRP ETFs. That's all that really matters. And Canary Capital will be the first this week, potentially. Tether hires HSBC gold traders. The world's biggest stablecoin firm just hired the top HSBC gold traders. Okay, cool. Tether holds $12 billion in gold, and they are eyeing the entire gold supply chain from mining to trading. Interesting. Zcash updates. The Zcash Foundation announced new leadership appointments. I wonder why. Because of, I covered the news already, right? People found out that the CEO, one of the founders of Zcash, privacy coin that has been going up crazy lately, they found out that he is trans to a woman, and, you know, everybody was disgusted by it, and they all sold off. Literally the reason why Zcash dropped, it was performing well, but it dropped because it's like, oh, the founder is trans, and we don't like how she looks, so we're going to crash real quick. It's down another 12% today. Oh, brother. So this was the, you know, people find out trends, I think. We kind of recovered, didn't recover too high, to 685 approximately, and we've dropped even lower to 462. These are big numbers. But we're still in an uptrend as long as we remain above 380. 400 seems to be a good support for it if you care to enter into Zcash. I don't. I will stay out of it. Might even go lower, honestly. Maybe not. Not really that far from oversold. So yeah, new leadership appointments because, well, of that backlash. Arthur Hayes, which I talked about in previous streams, was very bullish on Zcash as well. He's just riding waves when it comes to Hyperliquid. When it comes to Zcash, he loaded up in a big position and then he's like, well, now what? Do I sell? Do I not sell? That is the question. Is Zcash going to $10,000 or $10? None of the above, pal. It's mathematically impossible for both. So don't get your hopes up. Just sell wherever you want, Arthur Hayes. That is my financial advice to you. And leave us alone. Moving on. My last bit of news, second last bit. It's getting late. Sam Bankman-Fried, we know who is the former CEO of FTX. He actually makes this bold claim from prison, by the way. He's still tweeting. I don't understand how. He claims that Binance founder CZ does have ties to ZachXBT somehow. ZachXBT, as we know, is really good at blockchain analysis and helped resolve a lot of crypto crimes that have been going around by figuring out who was the hacker, right? When Bybit got hacked, this was the man who figured out it was North Korea. And he showed proof. For whatever reason, Sam Bankman-Fried is claiming that Zach XBT has ties to CZ. And it does make sense because we did get a recent announcement that Zach XBT will now be only focusing or partnering up really with the Binance chain, the BNB chain. And I have some more proof on it later. Just this comment was said over here, just reading this post real quick. Zach XBT says a Bahamian exchange stole $8 billion and offered to give users only a percentage back. What should we have done? Said, nah, pardon the founder. Obviously explaining Sam Bankman-Fried's case because he was in the Bahamas and he stole $8 billion and only a percentage is being paid back to the investors, right? I don't think it's only a percentage. I think they're getting paid back the money that they lost plus interest. Since already markets have already come up, but FTX repayments, I don't know where we're at with it. I think last time was in September. I think the last bunch will be provided in December. I could be wrong. Something like that. But anyway, SBF replies to this from prison. Like I said, he says, come on, CZ, don't you have better things to do with your time than this? He literally calls Zach XBT CZ, the founder of Binance. Bold claim. We'll see where that goes. And I mean, it does make sense because, you know, now that people, you know, this is an old tweet that I've been waiting to bring up. People are still getting scammed and hacked and whatever. They will basically tweet out and ask Zach XBT to help out. Wow, he also removed his tag from this post. That is crazy. Saying, hey, Zach XBT, I need your help. Somebody tag him so I can get his attention. I need justice, I've been hacked or whatever. And then he'll reply saying, sorry, I take on a few cases nowadays, and I prioritize the ecosystems who fund my work. Cough, cough, BNB chain. So I will likely not be able to help due to the amount of requests. Try filing a police report in your jurisdiction for other assistance. And people even say like, ouch, you've changed. So much for the little guy trying to survive. Police won't do anything. Anyway, thanks for the response. He's like, well, you tagged me in multiple posts and sent a DM. So I wanted to at least politely decline your request so you can explore other options. I don't have unlimited time to assist the 30 plus requests I receive each day for help. In that case, yeah, fair enough. I'll cut you some slack here. He probably does get tagged a lot, and there's obviously people getting hacked and scammed practically every day. So he's right in that sense, but I don't know. You're being selective with the chains that funds you. I mean, okay, I understand where you're coming from. Maybe this guy does have good ties with CZ. We'll see. Now that Sam Bankman-Fried has thrown that out there. Okay. Yeah, that was all for today. Make of that what you will. Okay. So, tomorrow, nothing will change. Things will continue as normal. I will have to, of course, continue searching for a job now, but whatever. That's the least of my concerns. My biggest concern is Bitcoin going up, and we have to wait until the House votes on the government shutdown to get that good catalyst. And that's going to happen after market hours, so 4 p.m., meaning that, I don't know, what should we expect from the normal stock market tomorrow? Maybe just some choppiness, as we are uncertain whether or not we will have this government shutdown ended. Once again, I'm leaning towards yes, we will indeed have the shutdown ended. It should pass without a problem, ideally. But just in case there is that one small chance that it doesn't, I will, of course, rearrange some of the finances here, get some of my positions in order, so that I can buy a potential dip if we ever do become oversold temporarily over here on the crypto charts. So yeah, that's my thoughts on all of it. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for subscribing as well. I will catch you guys tomorrow, same time, 11 p.m. Till then, have a great rest of your evening.